What am I gonna do with my current home when I'm moving to a new one? Should I sell it or potentially rent it out? You have to ask yourself right up front, do I even want to be a landlord? If you do, then yeah, you want to go through that pro forma scenario. But now, if you're debating on selling or not, the basic question is, do you want to be a landlord? If you say, no, I don't want to be a landlord, period, well, drop the whole first part of this talk and go straight to listing considerations and what you got to take into account. And that would be running an estimated seller net sheet to see, hey, where do we stand for potentially selling this home? Now here you still want to think objectively and not subjectively. You might have thought those two would be swapped from earlier because it's now listing. Nope, same thing. You need to keep thinking objectively when you're deciding on selling versus renting your home. Just a different scenario. It comes more down to numbers than if you just want to feel and keep the home. Because in the long run, owning rentals that you don't like or want can really be dangerous to the whole family or whole financial situation. So the main thing for this is you want to connect with a real estate agent and a lender right out the gate to start getting an idea of, hey, what could I sell this home for and how could selling or not selling this home impact my next home purchase? Then you want to run an estimated seller net sheet. Agents can typically do this for you if they're giving you a listing presentation to give you an idea for the home. You can kind of set that up yourself as well. Now, if you estimate that you're losing money when trying to sell the home, you got to still compare that to your pro forma. We've had folks before that, yeah, they're breaking even or it's a tough deal for selling, but then they run their pro forma because they're like, all right, I'm just going to rent it out. I'm like, well, let's run the pro forma. Crud, would you rather lose a few $1,000, $5, $10 up front here now, or $1,000 a month indefinitely if you were renting it out and have to have it as a property that you hold? And those are tough scenarios to be in. That's when I started in real estate a decade ago. Those conversations were real after 2008, 9, that whole time. Those are real conversations that we had to have. Fortunately, not as many, but you need to do this analysis to make sure you can account for that type of scenario. As we put in parentheses, sometimes one painful loss is a little less than 1,000 cuts over months. But now let's look at a seller net sheet and what that looks like. This is a very similar layout to a pro forma, but still there's some differences. First, you want to look at for the income side, what is my estimated sales price? That's how much you could make overall. Hey, we're going to list it for $500,000. Wonderful. That's what you think you're going to sell it for. How do you come up with that number? Yeah, you can look online. That usually doesn't get you too accurate, maybe within 5-10%. Getting a real estate agent to come out and do a true listing presentation is the best situation that you can do. Reach out to us. We can gladly help you get connected with folks that can help do that. But the key is getting a listing presentation really gives you the most accurate representation of where it could potentially sell for. And a lot of agents are willing to do that at no cost. So it's worthwhile to have. And then you at least have made a relationship. You got a good idea accurately where it is. Big difference between $500,000 sales price and $475,000 or $525,000, right? Want to try to get a good idea there. Once you have a good idea of what you think you could sell the property for, you want to break out those expenses again. So we got some of these on the sheet for us. When you're selling a home, you might have closing cost concessions. That could be you agreeing to fix things or pay for some of the seller closing costs, that kind of stuff. So we're selling it for $500,000. They asked for $10,000 and seller paid closing costs. Okay, so really you're at like $490,000 now. Then you want to keep deducting. What are my title fees? What are my transfer tax fees? My property taxes? That generally is going to come from the title office. And if you're working with a real estate agent, for example, they'll be able to give you a rough idea of what that's looking like. Then we want to deduct as well, though, those real estate broker commissions. That ranges, generally we're seeing that 5-6%, could be higher, could be lower, whatever you negotiate with your agent, but that also gets deducted from this top line to get us to our final number. And then lastly, there's just other costs. There could be just other costs directly with selling the home that you could have. Some areas of the country just have different costs that could be added on, but that's where if you're working with an agent or if you're not, maybe talking with the title company, hey, what are some other costs I got to be aware of when I'm trying to run my numbers here? For the transfer taxes and property taxes, that's where the title company can give you a good idea what that is, and you want to pay attention to your contract that you have potentially with a buyer. Again, we're a good real estate agent. Title office can help you. Hey, what's customary? What do we usually see? What do we usually do for taxes when selling my home? That way you can make the proper deduction off of your sales price. Now, when you have all of that, you want to just deduct the sales price minus all those costs, and that gets you your income pre-financing. Some folks are like, cool, I'm making so much. You got to deduct out that mortgage though if you have it. So this is when you look and you deduct out your outstanding mortgage balance. You can usually look that up online if you're logged into a system that you have for your lender. If you want to get a super accurate number, because when you look online and see your outstanding balance, it's not always the same as the true outstanding balance. But if you call and ask for what the payoff balance is, they'll give you that. Know that just always adjusts slightly depending on when you sell the home. But you want to deduct that out, and that gives you your true potential net income when you're going to sell your home. My name's Evan Kaufman, your VA loan originator, helping military families move all across the country. Thank you very much for your time. Take care.